Hey, welcome to Into the Channel podcast, primarily about women's football. I'm your host, Dino Cespedes, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engel. What is up, man?
I'm feeling fantastic, buddy. Some could say I'm feeling the best I've felt in 2025, which I think is probably fitting for this episode.
An 11 out of 10, you might say. I want to get to it. We're here. We're at the end of the year. It's been a great year of potting. Bunch of highlights. Not too many lowlights, thankfully. But it's time to pretty much crown who we think. Well, let me rewind a little bit. I kind of racked my brain a little bit about how we were going to do our best 11. A lot of different ways to do it. You know we love a draft. I love a draft. Adore a draft. But I kind of also have been rubbed the wrong way too often with some of these other lists and superlatives and awards. And it's like, why can't we get this right? So I was like, you know what? We're going to get this right. We're not going to try to get it right. We're actually going to get it right. And I put the prompt out in like your direction. And let me make sure I get this right. I said, let's bottle up the entire 2025 that these players had and assemble, assuming we're going to bottle up their 2025 and roll them out for one game. Let's assemble the absolute best 11 that we can so that there is no other 11 on this planet, on the internet, not on the internet, that can compete with what we're going to put forward in this episode.
I think it's an amazing prompt. So, I mean, look, I'll pose this to the viewer. We're going to take a quick detour into the NBA. Think about it like this. Shot for your life. Steph Curry versus Larry Bird. It's a life or death situation, right? Like, what are you doing? So we're bottling, like you said, we're bottling. Go ahead, please.
I was working on this earlier. This is my NBA top list. I've got Curry 6, Bird 7. So if you're curious, that's how I got them ranked. I've got Curry a smidge ahead, and here we are. It came up. Thankfully, I've got my. I snuck some NBA notes into my ITC personal record book. We'll talk about that one later, but I digress. Sorry to interrupt.
It's amazing that you're just working on your NBA top 10. I like that you want to have it locked and loaded. That's fantastic. I would be lying. I'm not, and I'm not mocking you here because I would be lying if I didn't say I have the rough top 10 in my head and I've workshopped it too. So, the similarities never end at this point. So, shot for your life. Game for your life, bottling up the 2025 performances, the moments, the stats, the output, and then you got a field in 11 for your life.
Got my Sharpie.
That's right.
Got my extra dramatic, super serious uncorking of the Sharpie. With that said, how many positions did you have Sharpied? Because I'm sure you did an 11. How many? I put together 45 names, one page after my NBA top, what ended up being an NBA top 23. So shout out to you. I listed a bunch of names here because we lost power here in San Francisco also. So I was 10 and a half hours without power. So all my prep had to move to my ITC personal record book. But I've got my whole sort of like formation here, and then I've got my little Sharpie situation where I've got formations and I've got boxes. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names in 11 boxes. So you could say that I've got 7 names Sharpied. I'm very curious to hear how many names you've got Sharpied.
I wonder how close we are because it's hard to think of it as like I didn't really do it in the Sharpie, but honestly, I would say when you asked me the question and I looked at my 11, I think 6. That I kind of was going into the exercise like they gotta have. I can't do it without them. Yeah. So I think we're close. I think if I had 6 and you had 7, I think we're right around the ballpark.
I'm gonna guess that. I'm curious to see how many overlap Sharpies we have. So let's get into it. I want you to pick our formation. And again, I've got a bunch of names. So whatever route you want to take us, whatever you put up here on the whiteboard, we'll put the personnel in to make it work. And I'm here to collaborate. So you tell me how we're setting up, and then let's get some superstars into our lineup.
I appreciate you trusting me with this, buddy. Can we start with a beverage?
I'm on wired headphones, so I've got to like run for a second. But yeah, I definitely want to get a beverage. But you can get. I'll be right back. Fridge is right here.
All right, you go ahead and do that. I'll start cracking the beverage.
Yeah, do some filibustering.
All right, I can do that. All right, while Dino does that, let's give you the sneak preview. I'm going to pick a little bit of a strange formation. We'll just see how our guy reacts.
Still not used to this wired situation, so I didn't hear anything you said. Hopefully it was entertaining.
Oh, it was riveting. Smartest thing I've ever said, if you could believe it. All right, so beverage is cracked. I'm mid-pour.
I'm way behind.
No,
Cheers
it's
to you.
right.
Cheers to the football. Cheers to syncing up.
There it is. I want to start with this. I know everybody that I saw on social media was really happy with FIFA's best 11. Just a lot of high fives and pats on the back for our pals over at FIFA. And in fairness to them, the panelists that they had who voted on this were not just a bunch of rich dudes in suits. They had a lot of serious ball knowers casting votes. I want to shout out specifically Desiree Ellis. She's the manager of South Africa. Banyana, who had a great showing at the 2023 World Cup. She knows ball. Obviously a great manager. Vlatko Andonovski was a panelist. Not so great at the 2023 World Cup, but his team did compile more points than any team ever in the NWSL just last season. They had Gemma Granger as a panelist. She's Norway's manager, led them to a very solid Euros. Heather O'Reilly was there. She was a 2015 World Cup winner, 4-time NWSL champion, 3-time Olympic gold medalist with the U.S. women's national team. But now it is time for us to construct the perfect best 11 that I'm just sure nobody will argue with. I fully expect this episode to be our most watched ever and for it to just be received with universal applause because you know that's how best 11s work.
Absolutely. I mean, if people want to, bring it. I'm ready. Like I said, I've got my Sharpie. And I don't fuck around when I got my Sharpie. Let's get to it. What do we want to do? Back to front? Where do you want to start?
Let's go back to front, I think. I think we'll start with the goalkeepers, but would you like to know what I landed on for the formation?
I would.
Let's give it the old 3-5-2.
Okay. Okay.
You texted me and said, hey, the more exotic the formation, the better. And I thought, you know what? In this game for our life, if you have a game for your life,
okay,
you have a game for your life, wouldn't you like to have more of the ball? Wouldn't you like to control the midfield? Because, like, game for your life, you don't want to play counter-attacking football. That's not like, that doesn't inspire confidence, I don't think.
No, we wanted to play attacking football. I like this because my midfield was overfloweth for sure, and I've got 2 killers up top. So I'm excited to get into it. Let's kick it off. We start with goalkeeper, right?
Yes, please.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You want to go first?
I mean, I'll throw out the name. I'd be surprised if you and I differed on this, but I'm open to being surprised. Let me just throw it out there. I think it should be Ann-Katrin Berger.
Bang. Let's go. That was my Jay Triano bang.
Love it. I mean, look, 10 clean sheets in the NWSL. She helps win the 2025 NWSL championship. She had an incredible save at the death versus our Orlando Pride. Yes, that made us sad in the moment, but it was an absolutely unbelievable diving backward
Versus
acrobatic.
Marta.
Versus Marta of all people. Come on, what are we talking about? Insane save. And I think you'll be excited about this. I think this is a thing that I have kind of adopted from you in our time together talking about sports and specifically football, is I have a moment for every player in the 11 that I would like to suggest. And, we'll there'll be some give and take here. I'm sure, you'll name some players and be like, all right, yeah, let's put them in the 11. Germany gets to the semifinals of the Euros. And the save that Ann-Katrin Berger made to prevent an own goal in that quarterfinal versus France was the first version of what she did against Marta later in the year in the semifinal versus Orlando Pride, where the ball takes a weird bounce. I can't remember who took a weird bounce off of from Germany, but she has to go back, and then she makes a very similar save, diving backwards, pulls it off the line. I think this one was left-handed that she had pulled off the line. And then they go into penalty shootout. And of course, she scores a goal in the penalty shootout to win it. And I just think, 2025 was AKB's year.
Zero arguments here. AKB, one of my Sharpie names for sure.
Me too.
I mean, you already know what the resume is. We know what Berger did for Gotham at the beginning. At the end of like last NWSL season, coming in, obviously those performances for Germany, and then if we're being honest, carried a Gotham team that was a middle of the pack team for the grand majority of the NWSL season, down the stretch, and really was like absolutely integral. Like without Berger, it's like that championship just does not exist, and it doesn't mean that she's the reason they won. But without her, I don't think they get it done. I think that's pretty clear to say. She instills a tremendous amount of confidence into the defenders and her entire team ahead of her. So she was an absolute lock for me, and I love that she's got the international experience and also the club experience, and then caps it off with lifting the trophy.
No doubt. Quick accounting piece here. In FIFA's best 11, they categorize the year as August 11th, 2024 to August 2nd, 2025. Is that kind of the window that you were looking at, or were you doing calendar year 2025?
No, we're doing calendar year. I mean, like,
okay,
yeah. I mean, if somebody was cooking last weekend, why do we have to count it next year? Let's just count it.
Okay, fair enough. Now, I was doing a little bit of 24-25 based on FIFA's calculations, because obviously FIFA represents everything that's right in the world, but that's okay. I think a lot of the picks are still going to play, even if we're looking at calendar 2025.
Love it.
So,
okay, you kicked us off with goalkeeper. I have two Sharpie names on my back line.
Okay,
I'm very interested to hear where you're at. Now, I'm going to start with the name that I think maybe you might be less likely to have. And for me, at center back, that's Jess Carter. And
wow.
You think about, obviously, Carter's play on the pitch doesn't always jump off the screen. We're just like, oh, look at the ground she covered or closed down, the space, or, but super smart, in the right place most of the time, win through her positioning. It's tough to beat, one-on-one when she's got that positioning right. And then in my conversations with Jess Carter during the championship week, I was just fascinated because this is a player that won everything this year. Wins the Euros, wins the NWSL. Racism comes looking for Jess Carter. Jess Carter beats racism in her own Jess Carter way as well. Just an incredible year for an incredibly inspiring player. And like this was the year that I became like a girl dad, and it was important for me to ask Jess Carter, like, what message do you have for some of these young women that are going to face some of this adversity? And her answer was like incredibly inspiring. I actually kind of want to drop that here, so I'm going to do that real quick.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the young girls that might be looking up to you in this moment, and obviously the perseverance that you showed this year? Do you have a message for them?
I think to just keep going, that you are as good as you believe that you are. Don't listen to the outside noise, and you deserve to be where you want to be. And I think that's the biggest thing. And we're all going to have major setbacks. I mean, I've had a lot this year, and here I am with 2 huge trophies. So I think to just ignore the negative side of it and just to keep doing what you love.
I mean, you could see from her answer too, from a lot of her answers, is we could see her kind of going down the line after winning the final. She still had like a level of game time intensity, like in her eyes and in her answers. Like, there are people, and obviously, you and I played like low level sports. I know you played some college hoops, which is far higher level than anything I ever reached. But like, you always had those players who took a little longer to kind of like wind down from the competition. And it certainly felt like, I'm not going to pretend like I know her well at all. I've had one post-match interview with her, but like that intensity bears itself out on the pitch for her. Like, and in a way, like you said, I think it's important to mention that she plays the game with an intelligence that is supported by her physicality and the way she's kind of able to push people around out there. So, I mean, she has a lot of the goods that you need for a player. She was certainly on my list. I did not have her sharpied in. And you said you would play her at center back here, or I know she spends time at left back as well. What do you kind of, if we're playing three in the back, where would you prefer to have Jess Carter?
I would put a pin in it to see who the three are, who the three are. But I'm just of the opinion that what Carter did this year, you stack on top of it, the detractors, and still, because like, I mean, remember we were talking to Jackie Olio over the summer, who was talking, and remember Jess Carter kind of was not played off the England squad, but ended up missing a game, I think after, the big the internet blowback. So like, it was really in question whether she was going to come back or not. And then comes back for the final and is awesome in the final. It's just like, not, not enough that, okay, she's back playing and like representing, but was awesome and was integral. And then does it again in the NWSL championship. Again, for this Gotham side, that was an 8 seed that even the week of the championship, I'm like, I don't know, man, this Washington side is like, they're loaded, super talented, tons of like potency offensively. I don't really see it. You look at like Gotham defenders, they don't look that overwhelming, that overpowering, like, all right, well, you kind of feel like the spirit could get around them and get through them. Didn't happen. They were super stout. And for me, I know it's probably a little bit of an alternative pick, but for a lot of different reasons, for me, Jess Carter was an absolute Sharpie, like a winning player. If we're going to stick to the rubric of like, let's go out and win a game, like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
That's a great point. I mean, she's got the trophy, she's got the hardware to prove it in 2025. And I think that, we talked about like the intelligence of her game. It's a great call out by you. The mental toughness too, to kind of get through, that abuse. There's really no other word for it. I mean, I guess there are a lot of words, but I think abuse is like an accurate word to describe it. So to power through that and then still continue to compete at that high of a level, it's a great shot by you.
All right, let's do it. Who else we got? Back line. I've got one other Sharpie, but I'm going to kick it to you.
Okay, now this is the player who I thought you were introing here. I think Leah Williamson, she was one of my Sharpies. Look, she played in 12 of the 13 matches in the UEFA Women's Champions League. Thinking about, this past Champions League. She played the full 90 in every match that she appeared in. She fought through some injuries during the league season. She had 2 goals in that league season, but 17 and 19 appearances were starts in the WSL. She captained England's second consecutive Euro victory. And if you want to think about a moment, she was absolutely critical in that Champions League final against Eva Paior, CGH, Claudia Pina, Bonmatí, Putellas, the incredible attack that Barcelona had to offer. In that match, she had 14 clearances, 2 interceptions, and 5 recoveries. She was a beast out there when she absolutely needed to be. And, I mean, when I'm thinking about center backs for this year, you win a Euro as the captain, and then you're a key part in lifting a Champions League trophy. gigantic year for her.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, it's so tough to, you look at like those England results and like,
Massive.
it's hard to argue with. And then you couple that with Arsenal in the Champions League and, it just takes it up a level. I want to talk about this player because I feel a little bit of a trend developing here. My other Sharpie was yet a third Lioness. And I had Lucy Bronze.
Yeah, sure. Me too.
Because we're talking big game. We're talking play. We saw what Lucy Bronze did against Wolfsburg in the Champions League. And I think, there's something about Bronze moving on from Barcelona where I think that kind of put a little bit of an imprint on my mind where it's like, okay, well, Bronze may be entering a different phase of her career. No. Still unbelievable. Still incredible.
Yeah, turns out.
Still take over, an entire match. Like really, she had 2 massive stops against Wolfsburg in a match where Chelsea was stuck in neutral for most of the first half and then scores a first goal, saves 2 goals, scores a first half equalizer, and sets Chelsea on the road to, beating Wolfsburg, clinching a top 4. And that's just, again, Lucy Bronze. Every week she does something that's like really off the charts. And you talk about resume and big games. Her 2025 is right there as well. She doesn't have the Champions League, trophy that Williamson does, but I don't know. Are we too? This is some heavy Lioness bias, but are we in the wrong here? Do we have? I'm not sure if we have the right 3, but I don't know. I feel like do we need to take a step back?
I could certainly live with these 3. Let me give you some of my Lucy Tough Bronze, aka Lucy Big Game Bronze stats as well. So I am a big fan of the scouting report statistic on FB Ref, Football Reference, a great website if you're interested in women's football stats. They use this scouting report metric, which is where a player is compared to their positional peers in the women's top 9 competitions. So it's like all the big leagues plus the Champions League, essentially. And it's for the previous 365 days. So in this metric, I'm kind of operating with you sort of on the calendar year, considering we're like late in December and I'm looking at these statistics. Lucy Bronze is in the 97th percentile compared to her defender peers in interceptions. She's in the 99th percentile in aerial balls won. When she went to Chelsea, they immediately win the domestic treble. It's not something they've done since the 2020-2021 season. She's obviously gigantic in helping England win the Euros. She revealed after they win the final that she had been playing on a broken tibia throughout the tournament. And for me, the moment in that Euros, they're down 2-0 to Sweden. There's like 11 minutes left, and there's Lucy Bronze on the back post to pull one back with like 10 minutes remaining in those quarterfinals. Ajerman gets the equalizer later. They win it in penalties. But, what can you say about Lucia Tough Bronze? I mean, she is still at she's got to be 32, 33, somewhere in that ballpark. One of the absolute best players in the world.
Yeah, it's like age doesn't throw that out the window. Just one of the best players. Like come in and like wreck a game. And then in that Wolfsburg match, I'm just like, I know, and I think Bronze has some Ballon d'Ors or at least one in her.
She was FIFA Player in the Year in 2020, I want to say.
Yeah, so that's what I had in my head, and I'm like, this player's not that far off from just the best player. Like when you see what she's able to do in these huge matchups. So, so we've got 3, and I know you've got to set up in a 3-5-2. I'm sure there's some honorable mentions that we want to knock through. Now, there's one kind of behemoth on my list that I've got to talk about, and for me, it's Mapi Leon. You look at Barcelona, you look at the international stuff. In the Champions League, number 1 in progressive passes this season. Her free kicks just off the charts. The corners, what she's able to do defensively, she just doesn't. She's just never the weak link. And she just is. Her effectiveness touches so many different parts of the pitch.
Yep.
We cannot have a conversation without talking about Mapi Leon and strongly considering, is this a player that has to be here again? We gotta win this one. We need this one. We cannot come out of here and not walk away with 3 points. So what are we talking about? What are we looking at? We're gonna have to, and I'm sure there's more names. I've got 6 or 7 that I want to kind of knock through. But were there any huge ones? And now that I'm saying it, there's one other. I think we got to own a Batier. Why don't we just lump those two together? Because those have to be in consideration.
So Onabate was the left back on FIFA's best 11 this year in 2025. At least that's how they listed it out. And for anybody who's interested, I'm sure most people know, they're back. They did a back 4 FIFA, and it was Batier, Putellas, Williamson, Bronze. And so I want to shout out, and this will come as a surprise to nobody, I want to shout out Olga Carmona. And look, Onabate has been awesome. I don't think there's a lot to discuss, to argue there. And Bate has better attacking stats than Olga Carmona. But in Liga F last year, if like when I'm operating in this window August to August, Carmona had nearly 3 times as many tackles as Batier. She had more than double the tackles won as Batier. She had more than 2 times the blocks. She had more than 3 times the interceptions. She had more than 3 times the clearances. And if you want to talk about a moment, Olga Carmona opening up against Portugal in the Euros, the pinpoint accuracy of the ball, the pass right to Esther, who, yes, had a lot to do, had to chest the ball up and then have that amazing turn to score the goal. But, I mean, for that Esther opener versus Portugal, for Carmona to be the one playing the ball in to get the assist, hell of a moment for my pal Olga, one of my favorite players of all time.
I like it. I love those stats, too, because those were surprising. Because I think, to me, I've got Batier like in a notch, maybe 1 notch above Carmona, especially recently. We're looking at 2025 for sure. But I think, tough to argue. And I think Olga definitely had the moments, and, week in, week out. I mean, her time at PSG, though, really kind of clouds what's happening, because I think things have gone so awry there.
Yeah.
I want to throw a couple more names at you just to make sure that we're mentioning everybody. Sandy Baltimore, I think, has got to be in the conversation. Offensively, super dynamic. Not the same defensive, profile, but she is playing back there. And then you look at the NWSL: Kayla Sharples, Emily Sonnet, Tara McKeown, and then NWSL Defender of the Year. I think all deserving, all at the same level. Like, these are all really, really great players that we're deciding against. Katie McCabe, Emily Fox, I think I mentioned those two. Lily Reel as well. Lot, just the talent defensively is like crazy. It's almost impossible putting together a global list and trying to land on 4, let alone 3. But where do we go from here? How do we whittle this down? Let's make some final decisions.
I mean, I think if you have Jess Carter and Sharpie, buddy, I trust you on this. So what do you think about? What do you think about Carter at left back, Williamson at center back, Bronze at right back? You could realistically play that. I'm pretty sure in some attacking formations, Serena Wiegman has played that. And what's the worst that could happen? Somebody could yell at us for having too many English players in our best 11. I haven't heard of that before. So, I mean, I guess that could be the case.
The only pushback I'll say is, are we sure Leah Williamson over Mapi?
Beat her in the final. Beat her in 2 finals.
Maybe that is that it? A scobo?
I mean, it's a little bit of scoreboard on that one. I think Leon is a great player, obviously.
All right, Williamson gets a nod. All right, 3 Lionesses on Ann-Katrin Berger. That's our defense. All right, let's move up. Let's move up into the midfield, where we'll knock through 5 names.
Let's go. We're controlling the ball, buddy. And your wingers are basically extra attackers. We got all kinds of options here.
Yep. Head's about to be on a swivel. I want to mention this player because talked about this player on our last episode. Patri Guijarro, I think, a player that's there's no player like Patri in the world to me. Where she plays, what she's able to do, the range of blades of grass where she's able to be effective. I think to me that she's a one of one. So I think for me, Patri has to be in at least my 11. Let's see if she makes it into our 11.
Buddy, right there with you. Wasn't necessarily a Sharpie for me. I wasn't gonna die. I wasn't gonna die on the hill or fight on the hill, as I like to say. In my day job, I say we never die on hills, we fight on hills. Yeah, right there with you. 7 goals, 8 assists in Liga F last season, 5 assists in the Champions League, 1 goal and 1 assist in the Euros, but she played every minute but 4 in that tournament for España. She's in the 99th percentile with 101 passes attempted per 90. And I know maybe some people might roll their eyes and be like, oh, okay, so she attempts a lot of passes. She completes 86.2% of those passes, putting her in the 96th percentile compared to everybody else playing in the best competitions of the world. She's in the 99th percentile in progressive passes per 90, in the 93rd percentile in both aerial balls won and interceptions. She is a metronome. And I want to point this out because I think there is something important about this. And I make this defense of Scottie Pippen in the NBA. Again, I'm going to do another thing. Yes, Patri gets to play with at least one multiple-time Ballon d'Or winner at a time. And sometimes she is flanked by 2 multiple-time Ballon d'Or winners. And that is a benefit to her. But also, she has to play with those 2 players, and she has to figure out how to still be great and still play within a system and still maximize her talents while understanding the superlative talent around her. And so I for her moment that I wanted to pick out against Germany in that semifinal, she completed 109 of 125 passes versus Germany. She led the squad in touches, progressive passes, carries, and was tied for first in both interceptions and shots. And I think it's a great shout by you that there are not a lot of players in the world who can do that. And that's kind of floats into your concept of there might not be a player in the world like her.
Yeah, it's a great point that you mentioned about playing with those Ballon d'Or winners and having to deliver for them, having to produce for them. And not only does Patri like meet the level, but she's right at the level. Like you never feel like, if only Patri could like do a little better job getting the ball to Alexia or Aitana or Vicky or whoever's up there. It's always
she does a good job.
You know, so it's like, I mean, to have somebody dependable, I think that to me, she was one of my locks. I had her absolute Sharpie. I'm not sure who's leapfrogging her. You can make maybe a Sam Coffee case, but there's just no, I don't know. I didn't really have I couldn't make a strong argument for anybody in that spot.
I'm so glad that you mentioned Sam Coffey. She was obviously on my list. The statistical resume is just not close. So that's what kind of led me to leave her off. But I do want to say, because it's hard to quantify all of Sam Coffey's impact through stats, Jordan Angeli, who does work for CBS and calls a lot of NWSL matches, had a take that I still to this day remain jealous of after the Euros. And I think USA played a couple friendlies during that Euros month, and then Coffey was playing great for the Thorns, where Jordan Angeli said, I think Sam Coffey, she said something to the effect of, Sam Coffey might be the most informed player in the world right now. And I was so jealous of that take. I was like, that's such a great take coming off the Euros. We're like, obviously we're excited about that football. We love it. But Sam Coffey just had a run in the middle of that NWSL season where she was disrupting everything the opponent was trying to do and also kind of quarterbacking so much of what Portland was doing that she had a great year, and I take nothing away from her. It's just hard to make a case for her over some of these other midfielders.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I've got Coffee jotted down for sure, and was in that conversation. Her name's just right outside the Patri box. So assuming Patri is one of our 5, or what else do we want to do in this midfield?
I mean, I think Mariona Caldentey should be in there.
Mm.
Look, 9 goals, 5 assists for Arsenal in the WSL. That's fine. 7 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League winning campaign for your Gunners. I want to point this out as her moment. And I know, look, it was hard to watch. Not difficult like to watch with our eyes, but like difficult to find, is that in the second qualifying round of that Champions League, your Gunners lost the first match to BK Hackett. Then you guys go to London, and then Leah Volti scored the equalizer on aggregate to pull it to 1-1. Who gets the go-ahead goal? It couldn't be anybody other than Mariona Caldentey to do that. She brings the and you had said it at the time. She brought the Champions League winning culture from Barcelona over to Arsenal, and she was just magnificent throughout that Champions League stretch. I just think, like, if I had a 5-player midfield, I would like to have Mariona Caldentey on the right wing.
Love it. Zero argument there. Monster year for Mariona. We joked that obviously 3 straight Champions League trophies for Caldentey.
Damn
A
right.
dynasty unto herself for sure. But I was also played huge in Spain. And I don't think you can really discount, obviously, one of the best friends of the show, Leanne Sanderson, a former Arsenal, standout Champions League winner in her own right. You need a player like Caldentey to take you from, a WSL contender to a champion of Europe. Now, obviously, are they going to be perennial? Are they going to be in the final every year of the Champions League? Probably not. Are they going to be in the periphery? Probably. And that's because you get a player like Caldentey who shows up and is like, no. no. We're going to play. This is just a team, like we're a team, and we've got all these things that we can do that they're going to have trouble with. And her impact, you cannot. I mean, I feel like such a dumbass because I was like, all right, Caldentey, all right. And it was the same Lucy Bronze situation. Okay, Barcelona moves on. What does that mean? Does that mean that this is a player past their prime and we're not really sure what to expect? You certainly see that with some players when they move on. But my expectations were fairly low around Caldentey. I wasn't sure how she was going to fit, and it just made me look like an absolute dummy because she has been unbelievable, and she has raised the level of pretty much everyone that's 1 to 2 passes away from her on the pitch. Like everybody is just playing better, more connected, playing a brand of Mariona ball that is just working. And we saw it work down the stretch for the Champions League last season. We'll see if they can recapture some of that. But when you zoom out, none of this happens without Caldentey. And I think that's a huge testament to her as a player and as a leader.
Yeah. And I thought it was one of the picks that the FIFA Best 11 got absolutely right. They play her up at right wing in the attacking in their 4-4-3, 4-3-3. But I figure if we're going to do this 3-5-2 business, part of the reason was because I thought we needed to get Mariona in there.
Love it. Okay. I'm just going to nominate the Ballon d'Or winner, Aitana Bonmatí.
Same.
Best player in the world. It's tough to argue, but at worst, one of the best players in the world. Well, I don't think you can say it. There's no player better than Bonmatí. It's got to be in there, and also had a big season for Barcelona and for Spain. I feel comfortable, Patri, Mariona, Aitana as 3 of the 5, unless you were thinking something different.
Absolutely not. I have Caldentey on the right wing midfielder, and then I have Bonmatí as the right center midfielder. I mean, it might be easier for me to tell you what metrics that she's not in the 99th percentile in, but she's in the 99th. Exactly. She's in the 99th percentile in shot creating actions per 90, which I just want to say this one, 6.38 shot creating actions per 90. And then 99th percentile in non-penalty goals, non-penalty XG, shots, progressive carries, touches in the attacking penalty area, progressive passes received. She had 12 goals, 6 assists in Liga F, 3 goals, 4 assists in the UEFA Women's Champions League, 2 goals and an assist in the Euros. And if you want to talk about a moment, She beat Ann-Katrin Berger in that semifinal with just a very clever shot to send Spain to the final. Like you said, she's the best player in the world. It'd be foolish to have a best 11 without her.
I love you calling back that moment in the Euros where she beats Berger near post, because that was just a best versus best situation.
Yep.
And we got another version of that. You mentioned at the top, Marta versus Ann-Katrin Berger, Gotham versus Orlando in the playoffs. I love when the matchups come down to that. Our best versus your best in a moment where it's like, wow, we're actually gonna see it. Like, because in the preview, that's what you do. Oh, Marta on one side, Berger on the other. Oh, what's gonna happen? But then you get to see it on the pitch. And in that moment on the Euros where Bonmatí slides one past Berger, another one of those moments, where it's like, wow, you actually, the two faces on the graphic, it actually came down to those two. And Bonmatí made it happen. Very cool. Now is where it gets interesting.
All right.
Because we got 3 of our 5, and I've got at least 6 names for these 2 spots that
Yes.
I'm not sure we need to look at all 6, under a microscope, but all deserving of at least a look. How do you want to handle this? I said I've got 6. How many more do you have that are in that you had in contention for your next 2 spots?
In contention.
In serious contention. I'm sure you had a lot of names.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think I have the 2 that I think I like, but I could be talked off them. Do you have any Sharpies left?
Not in the midfield. I have 2 Sharpies, and both, because we're going 3-5-2, actually both Sharpies got shoved up top.
Okay.
So I have no other Sharpies in my midfield.
Who do you feel? So if we want to field a left wing midfielder and a left center midfielder, who do you like most on your list?
It's going to be hard. Again, if we're going to bottle up a 2025 and get everybody in the kit and go out there and win a game, it's going to be hard for me to be like, there's a player better than Melchi Dumornay. Like,
love it.
There's a player I'd rather put out there, and I'd put Melchi Dumornay on the bench in favor of this player. I can't think of that player. Dumornay, fearless. I mean, dynamite in her boot. Creative, has everything. To me, has everything. Like, if she just stays on this track, she's on the best 5-10 players in the world track right now. So
yeah,
and had an awesome year, and in the Champions League continues to produce. And for Lyon, we talked about this last episode. Lyon is a side, overflowing with talent, but they have uneven performances, and more often than not, it kind of feels like Dumornay is the player that match in, match out. You already know what's gonna get produced from that spot. Now, is Chewinga going to cash in off a Dumornay chance, or Kototo, or Hegeberg, or Heaps, or but the chance are going to get created.
Yep.
I don't think there's a better I don't think there's a midfielder that I'd rather have, and we still have another midfielder spot, to fill, and I think Dumornay for me has to be one of the 5.
So Dumornay in last season, which would in FIFA's mind would count toward this award. In the Premier League, Dumornay had 16 goals, 7 assists just in the Premier League. And then in the Champions League, she added another 6 goals and 2 assists. In this year's Champions League, she already has 4 goals in 6 matches. She has 2 goals, 4 assists in her 9 appearances.
Can I add one more thing real quick?
Go ahead.
Because you mentioned those 4 goals in the Champions League. 2 of them were versus Arsenal.
Right.
At Arsenal.
That's right.
In a 2-1 victory. So this is not a player that scores bullshit goals when Lyon's up 5-1 and she scores 2 goals in the 85th and the 89th minute.
Yes.
This is a player that went to Arsenal with Lyon down 1-0, scores 2 goals within inside 25 minutes, and they win 2-1, and it's on the heels of just her spectacular ceiling as a player and her just audacity. to just fucking be like, I don't just like fuck this team. We're gonna dominate this team. Like we dominate every team.
I love it. I'm into it. And now so let's put her in. Let's make Dumornay our left center midfielder, I think. If you're comfortable with her playing that position. I think, the more in the center of the park we can have her, I think the better off we'd probably be.
Yep.
So that puts me into this situation where I've been kind of waiting to reveal this. My 5 that I had were all Spaniards.
Of course.
So now I am left to choose for our left wing midfielder. I am left to choose between Claudia Pina and Alexia Putellas. And I gotta tell you, if we're doing it this way, as great as Pina was in the Champions League and in the 24-25 UEFA Women's Champions League, she had 10 goals and 1 assist and was an absolute force of nature in that tournament. I would feel relatively ridiculous if I didn't put Alexia Putellas on this team. Now you can talk me off it. I totally understand. But Putellas had 16 goals and 11 assists in Liga F. She had 3 goals and 4 assists in the Champions League. Another 3 goals and 4 assists in the Euros. She's still in contention as the best player alive, I think. After the devastating injuries, and for her moment, she had those 2 assists versus a surging Italy in the group stage of the Euros. She assisted on the opening goal and the final goal of that match. And I was going back and looking at my notes, and I rewatched the highlights, and she was, even on Spain, she was way the best player on the field. Like, by enough of a margin where I was like, you can't be the best player on the field by that big of a margin when you're playing on an all-star team. And she still was.
She's unbelievable. I mean, definitely on my short list. Can I throw some names at you that I had?
Of course.
And we had left center mid, so this is a left attacking midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, you could put Putellas on the wing. You could put Dumornay on the wing too. Like, I mean, I don't think we gotta. So
midfield wise, I'm gonna throw some names at you that I had that I thought were worth mentioning. From a defensive standpoint, I know we kind of zoomed past this, but I thought Yui from City, Chukanuskin are names that I think we have to kind of mention. A couple of the names in the midfield. Marta. I mean, it's weird. If we need to win if we need to win a match, and obviously Marta raises the 2025 NWSL Championship, makes a run with Brazil, over the summer, and then kind of like performs, in some spots there. Maybe a stretch, but I think definitely worth a mention. Rose Lavelle, kind of like re-entering the U.S. Women's National Team core conversation. Game winner, NWSL Championship, got to mention her. Kenza Dali, absolute beast, coming over to NWSL, leading San Diego Wave. And Olivia Moultrie, the International Midfielder of the Year. I'm not sure. I mean, when you mention those 5 Spanish players, you could drop Olivia Moultrie into, I feel like, into any one of those spots with any 4 of those other players, and you don't miss a beat because she's got the IQ, skills are in the neighborhood, and then like basically her moment potential is at the level, if not higher, than some of these other players because she is absolutely capable of elevating, when the situation calls for it, which is phenomenal to say, for a player at that age.
I think that's all fair. I would all our Spanish pals direct your ire at Dino for saying that she is Olivia Moultrie is teenager Olivia Moultrie is in the ballpark of Alexia Putellas.
Hey, well, we're going to be 2027 will be here very, very soon. And Olivia Moultrie will be heavily featured in what happens in 2027. and let it happen. Some of these European players come see what we're about. Because I know it feels weird to say, but shout out to the XOG guys. They were talking about this, and it's so funny because, like, our coach of the year. You mentioned Vlaco at the top. Rob Gale, our coach of the year, gets fired immediately.
Of course,
Portland, but
unjust.
Everything Portland did was on the heels. Everything, every single thing was on the heels of Sam Coffey and Olivia Moultrie. The combination of those two players just wrecking everything, and that's in the NWSL. I firmly believe, and maybe let me cheat and say we'll drop these as a tandem. You drop that tandem into any team in Europe, you put them on the lowest team in Europe, and they'll go and wreck a Barcelona afternoon or a Chelsea afternoon or a Lyon afternoon, even if you only have those two players. They're that good.
Man, you got some heaters right now. No, that's huge. I mean, look, I'm high on those players. I'm really high on those players too. But I mean, if we're talking about player versus player, I mean, who has the skill, size, speed, smarts combination of Putellas? Like, I mean, Alexia is. I mean, we're talking about a 2-time Ballon d'Or winner here, and I understand the Ballon d'Or is not the end all be all, but like, what doesn't she do? I'm not
arguing Moultrie over Alexia.
Okay.
Because we still have some spots. I mean, I'm just mentioning the names that I had listed alongside Alexia. Now, I'm not making the argument, but I feel like it's worth discussing. Now, I am going to get a little spicy here. I had Claudia Pina as one of my locks at forward because she came in, spelled Selma Pariello when Pariello, kind of got a little, went a little sideways a little bit, and then obviously has the injury. Pina can play everywhere, anywhere, but got a ton of minutes on that left-hand side. Played a ton of minutes as a reserve coming in for Pariello on that left-hand side. And I just think, shout out to our guy, MLS Architect. Hopefully he's still listening at the 52-minute mark, who I think has predicted Pina as his Ballon d'Or winner next year. I'm fucking with this. Let's go. And I'm not gonna take any credit for this take. I'm riding shotgun with our guy MLS because I think Pina, she's trending in that direction. We're heading there. And I think even when you look at last year, she was there. So to me, I don't know. I don't know that there's a player that I would stick in that spot and be like, all right, Pina, we don't really need your services today. She's just so devastating. And I actually had her as a lock as one of my forwards. But, before I heard about 3-5-2, but I think even still, I think would keep Pina in.
Okay. And now FIFA's best 11, they had Pina as their left midfielder in the 4-3-3, but I'm with you. I mean, I referenced Pina's stats. I mean, 10 goals, 1 assist in the 2024-25 UEFA Women's Champions League. She was an absolute menace out there. For my moment for her, I put the 2-goal, 1 assist game that she had against Chelsea. Oh, wait a minute. 2-goal, 1 assist game. Let me double check. Oh, yes, that was in 25 minutes in the first leg of the UEFA Women's Champions League semifinal to crush Chelsea's spirit, to take it to a 4-1 victory for Barcelona and end Chelsea in that tournament. So if we want to put Pina up top with one of the forwards, I think that's fine. I'm good with that. So would that put our 5 as going from right to left? Would that be Caldentey, Bonmatí, Patry, Dumornay, Putellas?
I'm with that 5, yeah.
Nobody's beating that 5, just so you know.
No.
We're destroying. We're rolling everybody. It's not competitive.
Yeah. You can bring anybody out there. No, that's a monster 5. I already tipped my hand a little bit. Up top, in our 3-5-2, I had Pina on one side, and then give me the NWSL MVP, bro.
There we go.
Temwa Chewinga. I mean, you talk about nobody fucking with this team. Like, nobody's fucking with this team. Like, Chewinga on one side, Pina on the other. That midfield, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty solid about it. Is there? I mean, I'm sure there's. I'll give you. Well, let me actually hit reverse here because I had some names. I don't want to like spill any of the beans of who I was considering. But who did you have? I'm sure you don't have the same top two. So who did you have top two?
Well, I had one of my Sharpie players was Temwa Chewinga, the 2025 and 2024 NWSL MVP. Now, Chewinga plays primarily on the right. Now, Chewinga and Pina, pardon me, they're both right-footed. Chewinga almost exclusively plays on the left. I'm pretty sure she exclusively plays on the left wing. Pina has spent some time over on the right wing. So if we want to do this, they're not exactly wingers if we just have two forwards up top. So we can play them both. I would play Pina on the right. I would play Temwa on the left because she's more comfortable there as far as I know. But Chewinga was Sharpied in, Golden Boot winner, and I understand, whether we're doing the August to August or the year, some people might be like, you can't really count last NWSL season. The 2024 FIFA Best 11, and no disrespect to obviously either of these two players we have talked about and fawned over for a long time. Selma Petayuelo and Carolina Graham Hansen were the two up top. They did a 4-4-2 last year. And look, I think about this with like NBA MVP and like some other awards. We just can't keep having FIFA Best 11s and not have Temwa Chewinga in it. She has to be in it. She has to be.
It's stupid. Yeah.
She's the Golden Boot winner twice in a row, the MVP twice in a row in one of the world's best leagues. This year she had 15 goals, 3 assists for maybe the greatest team in the history of the league that set the points record. She's an offense unto herself. If you want to count, like in that August window from August of 2024, you could add 9 more goals onto her resume for this 2025 year. And I just do not want to see any more best 11s without her while she's on this run. And for a moment, I was trying to think of like what her moment was. She just had multiple stretches throughout the season where she was at least scoring 1 goal per game, like 5 games in a row in a league where it's nearly impossible to do that.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the 2-0 victory of the flavor of the year for KC. One of the two was always Chewinga, and it was usually the second one to kind of slam the door. I fully agree with you, man. I think you can't take a list seriously that doesn't include Chewinga, a player that kind of has dominated the NWSL. And we talked about it last episode. When you see Alyssa Thompson go over to Chelsea and do what she does, stand out, jump off the screen athletically, the production's there. Thompson is not in the level of Chewinga in the NWSL. She might be 2 levels below the MVP Temwa Chewinga if we're really, and I love Alyssa Thompson. I was driving the bandwagon for Alyssa MVP NWSL earlier this year. I floated it past Leanne. She wasn't really playing ball, but whatever. I gave it a shot. But you look at what Alyssa Thompson's doing at Chelsea. If you swap out Alyssa Thompson for Temwa Chewinga, what are we talking about?
Come on, man.
Like this is, I mean, it wouldn't even look like the same sport really. And it's not really, it's no knock on any specific player, but Thompson looks so fast and so dynamic at Chelsea. And when I tell you that, when I tell our European and global watchers that Temwa Chewinga was 2 levels better than this, 2 levels faster, more dynamic, more dangerous, more productive, like it's real shit. And you mentioned it, back-to-back MVPs, like that's rarefied air. And I mean, Temwa was my second Sharpie, like on names. First name was Jess Carter, the unassailable 2025. Right after that, Temwa Chewinga was the second name on my list in terms of Sharpie. Bonmatí was 3rd. Pina was 4th. Aitana was 5th.
I like that. Chewinga was my number 1. As soon as I saw the release of the FIFA Best 11, and I know I've done this where, again, I'll do this quickly I don't mean to bore our pals who might not care that much about the NBA, but like people will say like, oh, well, the last year doesn't matter for this year's MVP. And it's like, well, then how do you account for like voter fatigue and like years that like Michael Jordan should have been the MVP of the league? LeBron James, There were years he should have been the MVP of the league. but like those didn't count. So like when players roll over to like several consecutive great seasons, why doesn't that count like in the inverse of like, oh, this person kind of came out of nowhere, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like there's like a lot of like mental math that people are doing with this. And the moment that FIFA Best 11 came out, and obviously their top three were Putellas, Russo, and Caldentey. I'm not gonna, no disrespect to any of those players. Like I put Putellas and Caldentey like in my best 11. And Alessia Russo was amazing in the Euros and was great in the Champions League. But my first gut reaction of looking at that was, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see a best 11 without Chewinga. She's without question one of the absolute best players in the world. Your point about telling European football fans that Temwa Chewinga is better than Alyssa Thompson, and look what Alyssa Thompson is doing. Temwa Chewinga is better than her sister, and her sister's awesome. Like she is undoubtedly one of the most dangerous scoring threats in the universe today.
I don't think this is hyperbole to say. And this is, I promise you, if you're not in the US and you're not up on the NWSL, this is going to sound stupid. But I promise you this is true. The Kansas City Current would not trade Temwa Chewinga for any player in the world. Aitana Bonmatí, Alexia, Lauren James, Caicedo, take your pick, Patty. Like Pina, there's no player
Right.
that the Kansas City Current would say, I'll trade you Temwa Chewinga for that player. And it's not sentimental. When you say she's an offense unto herself, she is an absolute offense unto herself. You could stick her there and then figure out everything else around her, and you're probably going to win. Like, she is unbelievable. Like, and to say she belongs on that list is like an understatement. It's an absolute understatement. If she's not on your list, you are not informed. I'm being very gentle in saying, if she's not on your 11, you are not watching. You're not watching. You're not watching all of it. You're just not.
I don't reference this very often. I don't know if I've ever referenced this on the program. Maybe once or twice. So my college tuition payment plan was, I joined the United States military for 4 years. This is how great of a country we live in, guys. So for somebody of my economic stature growing up, I needed to give 4 years of my life to the United States military, the Navy to be specific, to make sure I could afford a college education. And there was a saying in the military, in the Navy specifically, where they would talk about like some rule or something, and they would say, if you didn't do it this way, you're wrong. And that's what you reminded me of right there. Of if Temwa Chewinga is not in your best 11, you're wrong.
I mean, am I wrong?
No,
I'm not wrong.
I don't think you are.
Like, and I'm not going to say, I'm not going to go say this about my 9th pick or like, or go all the way down. Like, I'm not going to get, up in arms or adamant about it. But dude, come on. Like,
what else does she have to do?
If she's not on your list, you're just not watching. You cannot be watching and be like, that player, she's not so good. It's not possible. All right. So with all that said, you had Temwa up top. That leaves you with one free spot. Who else do you have in that spot?
You'll be shocked to find. I feel like I can defend this. Senior Gaupset, the Lynx.
Oh, what?
A second. Hold on a second. This isn't homerism.
I'm glad we're at the hour mark.
This isn't homerism. This isn't just me rocking with our friends in Bergen, Norway. Tell me how this sounds. I talked about Alexia Putellas having 16 goals and 11 assists. How does 15 goals and 14 assists suit you while SK Braun marches to the top Syrian title? No, she's Senior Gaupset, number 3 in the league in goals, tied for first in assists. That sound good? I think that's pretty good. She made a star turn in the Euros. You want to talk about, she had one absolutely incredible performance stacked on top of several other very good performances. My moment for the Lynx, 2 goals, 2 assists versus Iceland where she stamped herself on the global stage as a budding superstar.
Oh my God. I mean, you left me speechless.
You want to win? Game for your life? Get the links out there, buddy. What's up?
I can't argue with that. That honestly, that's the best argument that you go with. Game for your life. It's an argument because there's nobody that's playing harder than seeing you get upset in a game for. There's nobody that's playing harder in a game for nothing. To be honest,
Also true.
You could just be playing for a bag of Skittles and Jesus will just put you in the hospital if need be. I love the extremely spirited. Excited to see what Gobset can do here in Tottenham. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have any pushback. I can't really, and I don't have another player in this spot because I had Pina up top with Tema, but
Sure.
I can't hit a couple. And I'm such a dummy. I thought when you said no homerism here, I was sure that you were going to go Khadijah Bunny Shaw, who
Monster.
hard. I didn't like not having Khadijah Bunny Shaw in one of those spots. Eva Pyer, same situation. Esther Gonzalez, same situation. Barbara Benda,
Yes.
who
Yes.
we lost the last portion of Benda's NWSL season to injury, but from what we saw this season, what we saw last year, like in the conversation, one of the best number 9s in the world, one of the best attacking players in the world, full stop. Ton of talent. Do we? I can't believe Gobson's.
I mean, 15 goals, 14 assists. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at for the title-winning team. No, I don't think you are. No, I don't think you are. I think other people are going to be like, all right, dude, the top series is a good league, and she had 15 goals and 14 assists.
So what did we end? What you ended up with Pina not in your midfield, right?
No, I put Pina. I had her as my left wing midfielder on my personal 11. But I like your addition of Dumornay in the midfield. And then I'm like, if I have to choose between Pina and Gaupset, you know, as much as I admire the Lynx as a great player, a budding superstar, she will get her FIFA best 11s or her into the channel best 11s, much more prestigious than the FIFA best 11. She'll get her in ITC best 11s in the future. I think Pina's performance in the Champions League, I think she has to be in.
All right, man. Did we do it? I think we did it.
That's an 11, buddy. 3-5-2.
Let's go. Back to front. Ann-Katrin Berger, Lucy Bronze, Leah Williamson, Jess Carter, Patrick Guijarro, Mariona Caldentey, Aitana Bonmatí, Alexia Putellas, Melchi Dumornay, Temo Chewinga, Claudia Pina.
Spot the ball. Tell us when we kick off. Who's beating our team? What do you want?
Who's showing up? Who's showing up to play this team?
You don't want those problems. When people they like to make their little jokes. I'll give the two examples in college football. Back in the mid 2010s, people, when a college team would be playing well, they would say, "We want Bama," and I would always say, "No, you don't." And now, like with the Ohio State Buckeyes, people always like to make their little jokes about us. You don't want those problems. You come to find out, be like, "Oh, wait a minute, this other team has a lot of good players. Maybe I don't want that."
That's some big talk. It's a big talk.
Oh, I didn't even put it together. All right, yeah. We'll see how it goes.
This has been another episode of the channel. Thank you for watching, listening, hanging out. If you enjoyed the show or love us football as much as you boys do, make sure you're kicking it with us each and every single week. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to watch or listen. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, commenting, leaving us a review, doing all that twice, or maybe once, even though I said it twice. Don't hold it against me. It's late here on the West
Do it 3
Coast.
times.
4 times. What are we talking about here? Patreon.com/into the channel. Great way to support the show. You can only do that once, but we would greatly appreciate it if you do. Into the channel merch, even greater way to support the show. You could do that as many times as you want. Like, let's go. Maybe new wardrobe. What are we? 2026 right around the corner. Time for a refresh. You already know what time it is.
That's right.
Links to all the above. Much, much, much more in the description of this episode. And a big thank you to my co-host as well, Mr. Grand Angle 4. I mean, they don't make a Sharpie big enough for my guy. You already know what time it is. I appreciate you, bro. What a year. What a fucking year for your boys. 2025. I think this is our last recording. I'm not gonna write that in Sharpie because some wild shit might happen. But what a year. I appreciate you, bro. None of this is possible without you.
Likewise, man. I think it was a pretty great year. I think we had a good run in the Euros ourselves. We talked a lot about that in this episode. We had a good NWSL run. Got to see the NWSL final, recorded however many shows in a row. Talked to the absolute legend, Jackie Oatley, during this year. I mean, come on, man. Look, we're stepping up our game, making sure that we make best 11s in the future ourselves. And it's all possible because of all of our internet pals, who I will go out and say again. As this year is coming to a close and as many different things are happening in American society and all over the world, we have somehow found the only kind corner of the internet with very smart, nice people who, even if they disagree, will give those disagreements with a level of tact and kindness that we always appreciate. So thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Thank you for educating us, dropping knowledge in the comments, just being hilarious in the comments. You guys are the absolute best. We could not do this without you. We wouldn't even bother doing it without the conversations that we have with all of you. So thank you so much, and we will see you all next time.